Welcome to another episode of For Panthers Fans Only FPFO. I'm your host, JJ.
I'm your co-host, Terrence the God. Welcome back. Another episode, another week.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, that's really the only thing that I really, had to say. Like, yesterday's game was just, it was great. That's the thing. That's the problem. It was great, but we're going to get into it. I just wanted to do the introduction. Welcome if you're tuned in on YouTube. We appreciate you being here. Tap in with us. Audio links will be in the description below. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything like that. That will be linked as well as the Rumble link. So tune in there. For Panthers Fans Only FPFO. YouTube is obviously the G2S network. Thank you guys again for being here. And yeah, we're just going to get right into it because we have a lot to go through, and I want to be as precise and concise with our time as possible because we have a lot to talk about. I'm not going to lie. So hold on to your seatbelts. Bear with us because we might have a little time on our hands. I have a certain cutoff that I want to hit, and I'm going to try my best, but y'all know how I get, especially if you watch on YouTube. Y'all know how I get. I definitely condense it down on YouTube for sure, just because I want to drive people to the actual audio experience itself. But we have a lot to go through. And just, we're going to get into it for sure. So we'll start here because this is one of the things, and I'm going to do my best and everything. I'm going to use everything within me to not start using a lot of profanity and to, not start just spazzing. But it's going to be a challenge. This is where we're going to start. Everybody, for one, again, hell of a game from really everybody. I mean, huge props to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, we came in here and told y'all last week that this game was going to be a dogfight. For me personally, I did not expect 71 points to be scored between these two teams. I just simply did.
Nah, me neither.
I did not expect. I did not expect the shootout that we got. I'll be honest. Is my math on? 37 plus 34. That's right. 71.
Yeah.
I'm a mathematician. But
I'm still double checking. Nah, yeah, right.
But yeah, so first and foremost, we'll start there. I did not expect this game to go the way that it did. I didn't even think, in all honesty, I didn't even feel like our offense had the ability to score 34 points, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Now, I know we came in here and we talked about P.J. Walker and everything like that last week, But I also remember in that podcast saying, listen, I know that P.J. Walker is not Aaron Rodgers. I know he's not Tom Brady. I know he's not Breeze, Mahomes, or Lamar. But I'll be damned if he ain't looked like it yesterday. And that's with all due respect to those talents and that those guys are. This whole notion that we lost the game yesterday because of DJ Moore is just completely asinine. Really. And again, I'm going to try my best. 4th and 17. For one, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I really don't because we have a lot to go through. But we shouldn't even have been in that position to begin with. Because if Deontay Foreman is in the football game, and this is really the only knock that I may ever have against Steve Wilks, because I've been extremely vocal. We have been extremely vocal on a job that we feel as though he's done.
Yeah.
So this might be the only knock that I have on him. And really, it's not even a knock because you have to go based on your personnel and your game plan and what you have going on at that point in the game. Excuse me. But the possession before the Hail Mary, when we were forced into a 4th and 17 because of failed blitz pickup by a practice squad nigga, shouldn't even have occurred. And again, when we speak up here, We're speaking about your profession. We're not talking about the person that you are, and we're not attacking you personally. So I don't want that to get misconstrued in the message that I'm about to deliver or at any point in this podcast when we speak, ever. The nigga shouldn't have been on the field to begin with because it was 2 back-to-back plays. We have 3rd down. P.J. Walker is pressured. He escapes the pressure, tries to check the ball down to what's the dude's name? What is his name?
I don't even.
Because I want to address him. Brown. I think his last name is Brown.
Yeah, last name is definitely
Spencer Brown.
Spencer Brown, yeah.
Right? So P.J. Walker escapes the pressure, makes the right decision, doesn't try to force anything stupid down the field, doesn't try to gain everything back in one possession or one play, makes the right read and checks down beautifully. Yeah. Escapes the pocket. It's either going to be a sack, an incomplete, which really it shouldn't have been, or a turnover. Because you're smart enough to realize and you played enough football, we don't need to get everything back in one play. We have plenty of time. Let's not risk an interception or a turnover here. And let's not take a sack because the clock is running and it's 3rd down. So perfect. Or 2nd down. What down was it? Because I think it went 2nd down. We had the drop pass.
Yeah.
3rd down, we had the missed blitz pickup. And then 4th down, we had DJ in the numbers.
Yeah.
So 2nd down, excuse me.
Yeah.
So 2nd and 9. PJ does his job. Hits the check down, man. He's wide open. Just get 6 or 7 and go down. So we drop that pass. Spencer Brown does. Again, not attacking him personally. Then the very next play, we have it. Our offensive line is top tier.
Yep.
Our offensive line is top tier. Allowed only 1 sack last week, and then technically, quote unquote, and I say quote unquote because it wasn't the offensive line's fault, but technically only allowed a 1 sack this week. So we have the drop pass, and then we have a missed blitz pickup. Again, Spencer Brown has no business being in this situation. You're playing for first place in the NFC South, and you're playing against a division rival. No matter how Falcons fans want to try and act like we're not rivals. We are. Every time we play the Falcons, this is the kind of game that we get. Yep. Every single time. Right? So then we have the drop, the missed blitz pickup from Spencer Brown. And then P.J. Walker, again, like I said last week, steps up in the pocket, lets his nuts hang, delivers a beautiful ball to DJ Moore that is simply dropped. Now, if we want to put responsibility on DJ for that, cool. And even then, I'm shooting DJ Bell on that play because the coverage was phenomenal, and I don't think DJ was expecting the ball to be placed where it was. But PJ threw some beautiful passes yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you feel like shit because the ball hit you in the chest. Understandably so. Understandably so. You feel as though you didn't do enough for the team to win. So you're upset. You go on the sideline, you're in your feelings, whatever may have you. We force a field goal, get the football back, and PJ Walker throws the most gorgeous pass I've ever seen in my life personally. Yeah. And you feel how you want to feel. Maybe y'all are a lot older than me. Y'all seen a lot more football than me, whatever may have you. I've never seen a ball thrown that well in my life. The furthest pass in the StatCast era through the air?
And I think that's been since like 2015 or something.
Like 2015, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Just a dot. Only DJ could get it. The defenders had no shot at all. And a phenomenal play and catch by DJ Moore. Yeah. So with everything else that we just talked about being said, I do want you to geek up. And I do want you to take your helmet off outside of the end zone. And I do want you to let your nuts hang, and I do want you to show that this game of football means something to you. That's what we said last week. Remember when we came in here and we talked, and I said there's something different about this team that I haven't seen in a while. It seems like they just give a fuck. Yeah. That emotion that I saw from DJ Moore showed me that DJ Moore actually gives a fuck. That's what that showed me. But then again, I go on Twitter and Instagram after the game, not even necessarily after the game, during the beginning of overtime, and after Eddie Pinheiro misses his field goal, now I have to go on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else where I have access to the Panthers fan base, and now all of a sudden DJ Moore becomes public enemy number one. I'm sorry. You're a professional kicker, and you're inside a dome with no wind. The top was closed yesterday, so you're inside a dome with no wind on turf/carpet, and you can't make a 48-yard field goal? But it's DJ Moore's fault. Cool. So it's DJ Moore's fault. Cool, no problem. We missed a 48-yard field goal. A nigga that we've ragged on since the beginning of this podcast, since the beginning of Terrence being on this podcast, we ragged on C.J. Henderson. Makes a beautiful play on the football, which, again, is another thing that we've talked about consistently on this podcast, our secondary not making plays on the football. And actually, Steve Wilks touched on that in his presser either today, this afternoon, or yesterday directly out of the game, after the game. But he spoke on that as well. Long story less long, C.J. Henderson makes a phenomenal play on the football and returns it 50-plus yards and puts your offense in position to end the football game. We go conservative, which I'm okay with. After that kind of game, that kind of hard-fought game, you know, your guys are tired, your defense looks like they're giving out of gas, whatever may have you. You know, your offensive line hasn't given up a sack all day, whatever may have you. You've been pounding the football. Everybody's tired. Everybody wants to get out of here with a victory. CJ makes a beautiful play, returns it 50-plus yards. We're set up to kick a 33-yard field goal. Again, Eddie Pinheiro nuts himself and misses. So I don't understand what possibly forces y'all to believe that Eddie Pinheiro would have, made the regular PAT if it would have been 33 yards the first time or what. But what I saw, and if we want to do this, finger pointing shit, because I don't like it, because when I went back and watched film today, I saw a lot of things that changed the trajectory of the outcome of this game. But if we want to do that, then let's point the finger at Eddie Pinheiro. And again, I don't want to do that. But what I won't let y'all do is isolate and continue to abuse DJ Moore for taking his helmet off and for a dumbass penalty that the NFL has in place for whatever reason. Because when it's convenient for us, we want you to do all of this shit to put dollars in our pockets. But then for whatever reason, you can't take your helmet off because you're quote-unquote bringing attention to yourself. Oh, and by the way, a touchdown results in a dead ball. There's nothing happening. So the fact that I can't take my helmet off with no time running off the clock, no action being had, nothing like that, is just completely preposterous on the NFL's end. But I'm not going to come in here and ridicule, the rules and things of that nature that the NFL have in place. I'm just simply not going to do it. But what I won't allow, as long as we have this platform, what I won't allow is for these fans, y'all fans, to continue to isolate players based on the fact that y'all don't like him or y'all don't feel as though he's worth the amount of money he makes or whatever may have you. That's number one. And Terrence, I'm gonna let you touch on that as soon as I'm done with this too. Number two, this is for Fox Sports. I'm sick and tired of Vilma being in the fucking commentary booth when the Carolina Panthers are on the football field. I'm tired of it. Because y'all say y'all want y'all analysts and commentators to be unbiased. Y'all say, you don't want them to show any favoritism or whatever may have you. it's so obvious that Jonathan Vilma does not like the Carolina Panthers. And it's been like that since he's been with the Saints. It's been like that since he's been with the Saints. I'm sick and tired of hearing him in the commentary booth. Because it damn near makes the game unbearable to watch.
Yeah, make you just want to turn that shit off.
Completely.
Like, turn the sound off. Because he just a hating-ass nigga.
He just a hating-ass nigga.
In my opinion.
He a hating-ass nigga. And it's been 2 consecutive weeks with 2 interdivision games because he was on the game last week with Tampa Bay and he was on the game again this week with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't want to hear Jonathan Vilma in the booth ever again broadcasting a Carolina Panthers football game. I don't, simply put. Because we're tired of it. Now, that's one thing that I will stand hand-in-hand with the fan base on. The overwhelming majority, we do not want to hear Jonathan Vilma in the booth again for a Carolina Panthers game because he tries, but ultimately it comes out.
Yeah.
He doesn't fuck with us. So get him off of our games. And I'm through with it. What would you like to say to open up the pod?
Yeah, so basically going off a lot of what JJ said, just in my own words and from my perspective, I thought we played a fairly good game. It was a fun game to watch, and which has been something that has been tough to say as a Carolina Panthers fan over the past few years. Like, that was actually a fun game to watch, a good, hard-fought game. And I don't have Twitter, so some of the same shit I was seeing, fans blaming DJ, it came from the fans on Facebook. And so, you know, I'm kind of advocate in the fan page on there. So I'm in the comment section, you know, hyping the players up, popping my shit, basically arguing back and forth with fans. Just what I do. But yeah, I thought we played a great game. I thought PJ looked great this game. When you can throw a quarterback out there, not really throw a quarterback out there, but allow him to throw 36 passes and trust him to throw that many passes, says a lot about how the team feels about PJ, says a lot about what kind of player PJ is, and says a lot about who Steve Wilkes is as a coach. And so going back to that last possession, so yeah, Spencer Brown?
Yep.
Yeah, Spencer Brown, no disrespect, you shouldn't have been in the fucking game. You know that. And I think that it was really because, like, Dante Foreman, we know what kind of running back he is. He's a physical power running back.
Yep.
And so he's getting teed off on, running 2-3 guys over when he touches the ball. So I think he was simply out of the game just because of fatigue purposes. And Spencer Brown wouldn't even have been elevated from the practice squad if Chuba Hubbard was active.
Correct.
And the thing that I don't understand is, this is going completely off subject, but I'm going to bring it back in to connect the dots. Y'all see what I'm saying? But so after the game last week against Tampa Bay, it was reported that Chuba Hubbard could have came back in the game, but he didn't because of how out of hand the game was at that point. So it was no point in him coming back in the game.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand how he ends up not playing at all this week. But
Steve Wilkes came out and said today that that was a decision determined by the medical staff.
Okay.
So that's what he said. I mean, I still don't see it. If you're a player and you think that you can go and you want to go and it's something that's not severe, let the guys go.
Yeah.
Tua, that whole Tua situation, that's different. Chuba Hubbard, let him go.
Yeah, it was because it's what, an ankle injury? And
yes.
So it's like, yeah, wrap that shit up. You want to get on the field. You feel like you can give your best to the team with the position that you're in based on how you're feeling, then I feel like he should have been able to play. And we would have never been in that position to start with. And so, yeah. And this is the only thing I have with P.J. Walker is I felt like, because I was texting you during the game, I felt like personally P.J. should have took off and ran. Just because he had enough space to where he could have picked up the same amount of yards, go ahead and slide or whatever. But, I mean, he made a play that any quarterback would have made outside of probably a Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, or a Josh Allen even. So he dumped it off to his running back.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he was wide the fuck open. So it's like, I mean, it's not a bad play at all. Like, that's the correct decision.
Yeah.
Just depending on what kind of player you are.
Yep.
And he just drops it.
Yep.
He just drops it. And then we talked about, even during this game, like at the end of this game, how, you know, you have players. What separates good players from great players is when they get in a position and they fuck it up, but then they have an opportunity to make up for it, they can go and make up for it. He had an opportunity to make up for it. He fucked up again because that's when he missed the fucking blitz pickup.
Yep.
And the thing about it is, it didn't even look like he ran even to the correct hole to even block.
Pick up.
He just wanted to run out for his route. But I know the kind of route or the kind of design it was as a running back, you stay, you check the blitz first. After you pick up the blitz, that's when you slide out for your route.
Yep.
He too light in the ass, wanted to just be out there receiving the ball, and then completely missed the blitz, and now we're 4th and 17. Yep. And so, as you know, that's when PJ made a great play, put the ball in position. Yeah, like you said, it was great defense. Made a great pass to DJ. DJ just completely, I mean, you say you're going to shoot him some bail. I don't think he was expecting it, but at the same time, it's like the caliber receiver you are, the player you are, we got to have those.
Yeah. And in that moment, you have to want the football.
Yeah.
Not saying that DJ didn't want it, but in that moment, and I say this only because that's who we like comparing him to. In that moment, if Steve Smith is in that moment, he's making that catch.
Yeah, for sure.
He's making that catch. And like you just said, when you are in a position to be great, when the lights are the brightest, you have to make the play.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, to go off again of what you just said as well, he made up for it. By all means, he made up for it.
Yeah.
But in that moment, you have to want the football and you have to make that play by any means necessary.
For sure.
So I agree.
Yeah, and he was presented the opportunity to make up for it. I think it was like, 62-yard touchdown, 65-yard touchdown,
yeah, something like
that sort. Yep. PJ made a great play, got outside the pocket, a beautiful pass. Even had players like Patrick Mahomes commenting on it, said that was one of the best throws he's ever seen. And so I think that speaks volume to just how great of a play that was all around. And DJ had 2 defenders on him, but he still got in a position to where only he could catch the ball.
Yeah.
And so he made a great catch. And like you said earlier, like, of course he was feeling that emotion when he dropped that pass. Anybody would have. Not knowing that if your team was going to get in position to even get an opportunity to get back on the field and you had the opportunity to make a play and you didn't do it, like, anybody is going to be feeling that emotion. Like, and you could tell he was going through it on the sideline. And you seen before he took his helmet off. And so he came back on the field and made a play like that. And like you said, I have no problem with him showing that emotion after he makes up like that. After he makes a big play like that, do whatever the fuck you got to do. Yep. That was a great play. So him taking his helmet off, I had no problem with that. No matter how y'all want to feel, regardless of what position you think it put us in to win the game or to not win the game, I think he made a great play, and I completely support his celebration. And I think what most of the fans are getting that misconception from is that hating ass nigga Jonathan Vilma. And that's what I think that came from, because the whole time that's the only thing he's talking about. That's the only thing he's talking about. After DJ makes the play, he's still talking about that same thing. And I'm like, bro, let it the fuck go. Like, DJ put the team in a position to win the ball game, left it up to a professional who makes millions of dollars to kick the fucking ball. That's what you do all day in practice. All day in practice, you kick the ball. And just like I was telling one of my boys, I said, he missed, he missed the extra point, 48 yards. Any kicker on an NFL team, they are not going to be on the NFL team if they can't make a 48-yard kick. I guarantee you that. Yeah. Any kicker in the NFL that's on the NFL team can make a 48-yard kick. A kicker is not having him on the team if he can't make a 48-yard kick. So I'm not letting him escape on that, because that's just soft shit, in my opinion. Yeah. And so he does that, misses that kick, and then comes back. CJ Henderson makes a great play. I've been shitting on him since the podcast started, like you said, because he's completely played like shit up until this point. I think he's had some good plays here and there, but this is his biggest play of the season by far. He makes a great play, returns the ball back, puts us in field goal range, and then we're pretty much just running the ball, getting it lined up on the hash that we want our kicker to kick on, what he's most comfortable with. Eddie Panera comes back out, 33, 34-yard field goal, fucks it again. and it's crazy because I'm thinking he missed it the same exact way that he missed the first one. He pulled it to the left. So my thing is, you went on that sideline, and I know you was face-to-face with that fucking kicking net. You went on that sideline, realized you just missed the extra point to win the game, didn't make no fucking adjustments, came back and kicked the ball the same exact way. Now, you got to go, as a coach, you got to explain to me why the fuck you shouldn't be fired right there. I need an explanation.
You're right. I agree.
I need an explanation of why I should let you even get on the flight with the team back to Charlotte. I got to hear something before we even get to the locker room. I need some kind of explanation. Because stuff like that doesn't make sense. If I go out there and do a terrible ass job at my real job, I'm fired.
For sure.
So why can't I hold him to the same standards? You go out there and piss away a game twice in the span of 10 fucking minutes, why should you not be fired? And so it's just stuff like that, and then the fans just want to blame DJ, but he did what every great player should do. He went and made up for the mistake he made earlier in the game. And so I can't blame him one bit. You left the game up to Eddie Panera, your kicker, and then he completely just blows the opportunity pretty much. And so, yeah, that's basically how I felt. That was my emotions after the game. And so, yeah, other than that, I thought it was a pretty good football game. We can pick some pieces apart, what we didn't like and stuff like that. But overall, I thought it was a great football game.
Yeah, I agree. And the whole situation. I'm sorry, yo. You had me over here like about to die. Like, I ain't gonna lie, but this is what really pissed me off. And oftentimes, this is what happens. So I almost set myself up because I allow myself, or I force myself to go watch the post game shit as well. But this is really what pissed me off. Just listen to what his excuse is, or what his explanation is on why he missed a 33-yarder. So we're just gonna sit here and listen. We'll listen to the whole thing, but it's 2.5. And not to interrupt him, but logically, and they ask him that too, because it's just cap. It's cap. Logically, if you push a kick left on the same hash that you were on before, if you overcompensate, that means you're gonna kick it right. So you would have missed wide right. But this man has the audacity to come in the locker room in his presser or in his post-game comments and say he overcompensated. How the fuck did you overcompensate and you pulled it left again?
Same as that kick.
And didn't come on my way today.
So. There's something mentally about missing the extra point that maybe got in your head when it came time to...
No, just missed the kick and just got to make the kick. And, it hurts. I love this team, and, I know they got my back, and I know it's not going to define me as a kicker. And everybody misses kicks, and unfortunately mine was today, and my time was today, and I'm going to bounce back and be ready to kick.
To clarify, you said you overcompensated on the 33, right?
Yeah, just came across it, and
Was that because of maybe getting in your head about 48?
No, I just came across it. It's just one of those, just came across it.
Did you get quick with it?
Again, naturally, if you overcompensate, that means subconsciously the missed field goal that you just had was in your head, and you felt as though subconsciously you had to make an adjustment because you missed the field goal prior. So something mentally in your head was fucking with you because you missed that previous kick. But it's just stuff like that where I just, I almost have to laugh about it, because if I dwell on it too much, then I'm going to end up spazzing. But that's really what pissed me off the most about the whole situation. Again, we're not in here to point fingers or anything of that nature. We're just bringing to y'all's attention that the whole dismissal, the whole ragging of DJ Moore is completely uncalled for. Completely. With that being said, we're going to get into, our quicks, and we kind of did our summary already, but just to go over a couple of stats, and then we'll dive into the game and a couple of other things that didn't go our way that could have and should have, and in turn would have probably led to us winning this football game. So we'll take a we'll take a quick look at some stats real quick. P.J. Walker, 19 of 36, 317 yards, a touchdown, and a pick six. Again, he did have one sack, which in turn lost us 8 yards. Deontay Foreman, hell of a game from Deontay Foreman. 26 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.5 yards a carry. Then our leading receiver was DJ Moore with 6 catches, 152 yards and a touchdown. Terrace Marshall was phenomenal to see him be as active in the game plan as he was. 4 catches for 87 yards. His longest reception was 39 yards. And then you had Sullivan, Laviska Shenault, Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas all contribute catches as well. Defensively, we were led by Shaq Thompson and Derek Brown, 13 from Shaq and 12 from Derek Brown. Half sack from DB as well, and a half sack for Etor Gross-Matos. 2 interceptions came at the hands of C.J. Henderson and Dante Jackson. For Atlanta, Mariota, 20 of 28, great percentage there, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Huntley rushed 16 times, 91 yards total. Marcus Mariota had 6 touches for 43 yards. A great majority of that coming on the last drive of the game. The overplay from X and BB on that read option that allowed them to get into field goal range ultimately. Kyle Pitts, 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. Demir Bird, former Carolina Panther, 3 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. Again, a large amount of his yardage and usage came off of his one big play, the 47-yard touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And really that's about it as far as the individual stats go. Team stats, we really dominated them on every front. 23 first downs to 21 in our favor, 73 plays to 67 in our favor. Total yards, 478 to 406 in our favor. Even amount of drives at 13. 309 to 239. Passing yardage in our favor. Rushing yards, 169 to 167 in our favor. And then the unfortunate, ultimately the cause of our demise, in my opinion, 9 penalties for 74 yards for us and 7 for 64 for them. And they did win the time of possession battle, but not by much. 31-31 for us, 36-34 for them. Third down efficiency, something that we've talked about as well. It is getting better, 5 of 13 for us. The problem is defensively we weren't able to get off the field enough times, 6 for 12 for Atlanta. I think last week, what was it, like 1 of 9 or 1 for 10 or 2 for 10, something like that for Tampa Bay. So that was that was kind of like a direct reflection as far as that goes. But offensively, it's encouraging to see that our third down efficiency is getting better. And we just want to see progression and improvement throughout the duration of the year. But those are our stats, and that'll kind of, from now on, that'll kind of substitute our whole summary thing, because I kind of like the rhythm that we've been getting into the past couple of weeks with, coming in here and making our opening statements and just highlighting a specific point in the game that really changed the whole, dynamic of the outcome or whatever it may have you.
Yep.
So let's get into it a little bit. You heard the stats. A big part in that, again, for me personally, this is where we'll start. A big part of us ultimately not coming up big on defense with the second or third, or the second possession that Atlanta had in overtime, was because of overplay from Xavier Woods and Brian Burns. And again, this isn't to individualize anybody or to point fingers at all. But this is one of the issues that I saw going through film today, was the overplay. And I think for me personally, and I will just, we'll just chop it up a little bit. I think for me personally, a big part in the success of our defense is the speed that we played with.
Yep.
Or the speed that we continue to play with, actually. And this week, that kind of backfired, in my opinion. You had that one. Then there were a couple of third downs where, people that were in positions to make tackles. I know for a fact I saw one with Shaq Thompson, if not two. I think one was on Kyle Pitts, and then there was another one on Zacchaeus on third down. So that has to be addressed to me.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed. The overrun, the overrunning plays and everything like that, that has to be addressed. Because, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago with Frankie. And I was like, I love the energy and things of that nature that he plays with. What was this? Maybe after the Saints game. It was earlier in the season, maybe week 2 or week 3, whatever it may have you. But I was like, I love the energy that he plays with. I think he adds a dynamic. Y'all know how I feel about Frankie, so this is no knock at all on him. But I said I love that he plays with that speed, but at sometimes you have to dial it back and just simply make the play.
Yep.
And ultimately, that did not happen enough times yesterday. It didn't. So that contributed a good portion to, us losing the football game, because that level of complimentary football that we talked about last week and that we spoke so highly of, that was not the same this week. It simply wasn't. A lot of people could say, and I don't know if I would disagree with them, that based on the inability of our defense to get off the field and to make big plays this week is the reason why we lost. And again, you would have a hard time steering me away off of that point, transparently. You really would. So it's a couple of things. It's just a couple of small tweaks that separates you. And this is, again, what we talked about this on the phone after the game. This is, again, what separates you from being a good football team and a great football team.
Yep.
It does.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, like, a lot of times that if you give up a play, if you give up a pass or something of that nature, I mean, you gotta have a quick mind. Like, make a turnaround and make the tackle. Like, I seen a lot of that happen in this past game too. Is guys that you give up a play and you don't make the tackle, so you're giving a person 10, 15 extra yards after the fact. And I think that happened a lot with Kyle Pitts. What was it? Demir Bird.
It happened on the Demir Bird touchdown with C.J. Henderson.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, okay, you gave up the play. You gave up the catch. We can live with that. In that situation, we can live with that. But you, at a certain point, you just got to break down and make the tackle.
Absolutely.
Trust your defense. Trust your guys that you got behind you. Trust your line that they're going to be ready for the next play and that we're going to get a stop. Like, just make the tackle. And I think I've seen a lot of that. And then just talking about the over pursuit and like how fast our defense is and how that can be detrimental. Yeah, it shows when you play quarterbacks like a Marcus Mariota.
Yep. Because
if you got your eyes in the wrong place, then he can take advantage of that. And I think that was something that they were talking about before the game. They were just showing like some next-gen stats that he had in the previous games of just how he breaks down defenses with just his eyes, because you see players overcompensating on plays and things like that.
Yep. And
then he get them moving one way and then he goes the other way. And so that kind of hurt us at the end of the game too. I think that was that a drive in overtime is where he did like the read option.
With Xavier Woods and Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in overtime that ultimately led to the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and so it's just plays like that where the defense has to be more disciplined. But with that being said, I do think that we have a lot of younger guys on the defense, and so that's something that can be coached. Like, that's something that they can pick up on. It's not something that is necessarily unfixable, if that makes sense. So, I mean, and then I think a lot of stuff like that will look different when you have a guy like Jeremy Chin in the game who can come up and make tackles and play more of like, I know he likes to play more of like the safety role, I would think. He likes to just be in one role, but when you have a guy like that who can come up and make tackles and things like that, and who can kind of, he's a generational player in my opinion, so he can sniff out shit like that. And so I feel like when you get guys back like that, then a lot of that starts to slow down a little bit. But
sure.
yeah, I don't think it's anything that's unfixable. But I do think like little stuff like that can put you in a position to to just not win football games in a sense, or to make mistakes that doesn't need to be made. And so I think that kind of took over. I mean, like I said, it's not something that's unfixable. But that was my opinion on the defense.
Yeah. Touching on the defense again as well, just a couple of individuals that I know that we want to speak on and touch on. Huge props. Listen, we just talked about, the lack of attention to detail when it comes to a completion underneath, and then the lack of effort to make a tackle. So you take that away from the game yesterday, and obviously that was a big point. That was a big play in the game. Mm-hmm. But a huge shout out and a huge, look or acknowledgement to the game that C.J. Henderson played yesterday. Because like we said, I mean, we're tough. Like, we know that we're tough on these dudes. We are. Like, we have a job to do. That's to present content, and we like going about it in an uncensored manner. So the way we come off is harsh at times, but it's not personal again.
Yeah.
And we've been extremely, extremely, extremely tough on C.J. Henderson and Miles Hartfield both.
Yep.
We have. But C.J. Henderson, I mean, he played a great game yesterday. He did. Based on Pro Football Focus, the top-rated Panthers from Week 8 against the Atlanta Falcons, number 1, C.J. Henderson at 91.9. Number 2, Deontay Foreman at 84.3. And number 3, Dante Jackson at 83.5. So, I mean, huge shout-out to C.J. Henderson, because a lot of the problems, a lot of the issues that we've talked about him having throughout the year, it seems as though the message is getting relayed that these things have to be fixed and addressed. And in all honesty, he's shown that he's actually working on the shit that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that could be from, Steve Wilkes. We know the phenomenal secondary coach that he is. Obviously, he's assumed the head coaching role at this point, but I still feel as though, he would have a big voice in that secondary, because that's what I feel as though he's passionate about, is the secondary. So you can chalk it up to that as well, the coaching and the different, or the change on philosophy defensively.
Yep.
But C.J. Henderson has made leaps and bounds of improvements in pass coverage, and tackling, and everything, really. Like I said, you take away that Demir Bird touchdown, and we're looking at C.J. Henderson in the game that he had last week, completely different, honestly. So I just wanted to shout him out.
Yeah, and I definitely think that there has been some progression being made, especially with the big interception that he got. And then, just to back that up, is that, I mean, Steve Wilkes keeps putting them on the field, hindering your team in a sense. Then I don't think you're going to keep putting them out there. So he must see something in C.J. Henderson that is a good sign, and he keeps putting them in position to make plays. And C.J. Henderson made those plays this week.
For sure.
And I think a lot of the times it's like he's not necessarily always out of position or anything of that sort. I just don't think he trusts his ability enough to make those big plays at times. And so I think that's a big problem that he has. But like you said, I think he played great this game, other than the Demir Bird play. But other than that, I mean, he has been coming along. He has been progressing. And, I know we've been, kind of critical of him. I know me specifically.
Kinda.
Yeah, yeah. We've been on him bad. But, him and Miles Hartsfield. But, I think C.J. Henderson, he played a great game of football yesterday. And, hats off to C.J.
For sure. So, huge shout out to C.J. Henderson in the game that he had yesterday, because, again, we've been tough on him. We have. And
sure.
When we're tough on guys, I love when guys prove me wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to be the first dude that come in here and tell you, you doing your shit for sure. So, CJ, if you watch this shit, keep doing your thing, bro, because a lot of people, including us, lost faith in you.
Me specifically.
For sure. For sure. So keep doing your thing, keep proving people wrong, and us included in that, because if you play like that, if you continue to play like that, and we get Dante and JC, healthy, and then we get Jeremy Chin healthy as well, I mean, that secondary is going to be everything that we talked about it had the potential to be week 1, week 2, week 3, for sure. So CJ Henderson, huge shout out to you. Another dude I want to highlight, and this isn't our player of the week segment by any means of this, by any stretch of the imagination. So kind of bear with us here, but another guy I want to highlight defensively, it was a lot of talk about this guy last year, from me included, me specifically. It was a lot of talk about this guy last year. And, we saw different reports and things of that nature about, the rumors, that the whole story that we gave y'all probably 5 or 6 weeks ago with Steve Wilkes and Phil Snow and their different ideologies and things of that nature, and then Matt Rule and how he played into that, et cetera. But there was a lot of talk. It was talk that he came in, he cut weight so he could be, a guy that could be utilized in the pass game as well as the run game. It was just a lot of talk about the work that he had put in this offseason, and a lot of talk last year about him not being worth the price of admission that we paid for him in the NFL draft. But a huge shout out to Derrick Brown.
Yep.
Huge shout out to Derrick Brown. Anytime you see a defensive tackle at any level, football-wise, at any level, whenever you see a defensive tackle with 10-plus tackles, that shit is telling you that defensive tackle is simply different.
Yep.
It's simply different. Derrick Brown has been, I would have to say, the most consistent part of our defense, just given the injuries and everything that we suffered through. I would have to say Derrick Brown has been the most consistent player on our defense.
Yeah, I agree. Derrick Brown, he's been playing great. A lot of the plays is like you said, like him cutting weight to be active in the pass game and in the run game. And it's like him combining both of those now is it's really a scary sight because he's only going to get better.
For sure.
And because now he's really on the quarterback ass. It's not just the fact of him being so big that he's just clogging up the lanes, but he's really out there running down your quarterback.
For sure.
Yeah. He's making quarterbacks very uncomfortable in the pocket. And I think that's something that we've needed to see on the D-line, because I know we talked a lot about just not really having that extra pass rusher outside of Brian Burns. And I think that it has been evident a lot this year and previous years, but I think we can kind of hang our heads on the fact that we have a guy in the interior part of the line who can also go and sack the quarterback, but who can also clog up the lanes to stuff a running back.
For sure.
And so I think that's been very big. I seen Gross Matos make a few good plays yesterday. I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he had a sack.
He had a half sack with BB, I believe.
He had a half sack. I want to say I probably should have got my shit together.
He had 6 tackles and a half sack.
Yeah.
That was his stat line yesterday.
Okay, yeah. So Gross Matos, that's also a player that I know I've been very critical of, because it's for his size and the physicality that we thought he possessed, when we drafted him, it just hasn't been on display. And so in last game, I seen him chasing down the tackle from all the way on the other side of the field, which was very impressive to me. That it was a play that he could have easily given up on, but he was like, fuck it, I'm going to get this tackle.
For sure.
And so that was something that stuck out to me, even though I still think we need another legit pass rusher. I just don't think Gross Matos has developed into that type pass rusher that we want to see, and that we want to pair alongside Brian Burns to make the pass rush game really more scary than it has the potential to already be. And I think he's more of a come in the game in certain situations. Guys get tired. He's a great guy that you can sub in and still get adequate play from.
And really, I think that's what made him so special last year.
Yeah.
Was the fact that he didn't have that responsibility of being a primary pass rusher.
Yeah.
Because you had Brian Burns on one end, and then you had Hassan Reddick on the other.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why, we saw slight improvements from Gross Matos' game last year, and this year it doesn't seem like it's been the same because you no longer have that Hassan Reddick to back you up. Because there would be times where we would put Hassan Reddick in a wide 9 position, then we would put Gross Matos in a 7, or we would put Gross Matos in a 3 or a 5 or something like that. And so I think that this kind of changed the dynamic of, the responsibilities that he has assumed at this point with having to be that other primary pass rusher on the other end of Brian Burns. It just seems as though his level of play is not adequate enough to, be an elite pass rusher or to be what we need him to be in the past game. So I would agree there.
Yeah, I agree. And there's nothing wrong with having those players who just aren't starter material at the moment. Like, you need depth on the team.
For sure.
And so it's great to have those players who can sub into the game and still give you good play, but not necessarily assuming the responsibility of playing every single down. Because then, an inexperienced player who isn't as good as everyone else on the line, like it can take a toll on them. And offenses can really pick that out and really embarrass you in that way.
Yeah.
So along with that being said, I think we do still need another pass rusher, but Gross Matos did show some improvements during this game. I thought I like the way he played in this game.
I would agree. He was around the football a lot, and he made a lot of plays as well. Again, anytime you're getting anywhere between this 6 to 10 range from your defensive lineman, that's a good sign because that means that your defensive linemen are making the tackles before that running back or before that quarterback, whoever may have you, gets into that second level.
Yep.
So that's like you said, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
It's an improvement, and I think for me personally, that may be why I kind of feel different about this game. Like yesterday, I was very upset. I was very upset that we lost, but that's just because, the type person I am and the love that I have for this football team. But, it wasn't a sickness. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was no sickness on my end. I've talked numerous times about, like, how sometimes this shit really makes me sick. Like, watching this team, having to deal with the losses or whatever it may have you. It wasn't that this morning when I woke up.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was a sense of optimism because I've seen the way this team has grown up already in 2 or 3 weeks of being underneath a legitimate NFL head coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what Steve Wilks is. I do. Before we get off of the defense and kind of venture off a little bit into, Steve Wilks in the offense, the defense has to play better. We're going to commit all of these guys for having good games or whatever may have you. But in order for this team to be successful, we said last week, and we genuinely believed it, that if you score offensively, if we were able to score 21 to 24 points, that we should be able to win football games. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, yesterday, that was not the case.
Yep.
And there were too many times, too many opportunities to get off of the field or to make that one extra tackle in which would have stopped them short of the first down or whatever may have you. There are too many times where that occurred where it kind of changed, again, like I said earlier, it changed the dynamic of the football game. It did. There was another play that kind of sticks out to me as well, just talking about the defensive group as a whole and going back to the over pursuit thing. And I believe it was in overtime because I think this extended their drive, but there was a play that Frankie Louvu had where we were in man coverage and Algier came out of the backfield on a little drag route or underneath route, whatever you want to call it. And Frankie just took a bad angle and then gambled on trying to make the tackle right where he was instead of just allowing him to gain that 3 or 4 yards, still knock him short of the first down. And then Algier was able to gain 15, 20, 25 yards run after catch. So it's stuff like that if we want to compete, because at this point, the Saints did win again against the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday, 24-0. Absolutely a complete rout of that that Raiders team. I don't know what's going on in Las Vegas right now. I'll be honest. I think everybody had high expectations for them.
Yeah.
And they've come up a little short. But the Saints did win. Of course, you had the Atlanta Falcons, who we will see again in 10 days. So I'm not really too worried about that. And then you have Brady as well. But we're still in the hunt. We're still in the hunt. Like, this is the thing. We're still in contention to win the division. A couple of things will have to go our way. We're going to have to win a couple of big football games. But if we continue to play the way that we've been playing the past 2 weeks, I think that we still have a real shot. We really do. And that could be, misguided optimism. It could be. But I really feel as though this team has what it takes still. But in order for us to do that, these small things that we're hitting on right now, we have to execute better. And that was Steve Wilkes' message yesterday and today, more so this afternoon after watching film with, by himself and with the team and things of that nature. It's all about execution.
Yep.
It really is all about execution and discipline. Because that's another thing that we haven't really touched on yet, and I guess we can go here now.
Mm-hmm.
But the discipline aspect of it. Again, this is why a lot of my frustration, too, with the whole DJ Moore narrative was kind of was curated, so to speak, because there's just simply no way for us to highlight or point a finger at one guy or one guy's actions, because it was a lot of things yesterday that we didn't do well, that if we would have done even a slight bit different or a slight bit better, we would have won this football game.
Yep.
And the discipline at the end of the game, from the fourth quarter going over into overtime, it wasn't. It was just simply not up to par. And that's not, if you want to be a great football team and you want to be a playoff team and you want to win your division, discipline is going to be key. What do we have? 9 penalties for 74 yards, I believe it was.
Yep. 9 for 74.
Yeah, and 6 or 7 of those penalties came in the fourth quarter or overtime.
Yep.
That's money time. That's when we cannot have those issues. That's when we have to rise to the occasion and show that we are great. So that, to me, was very frustrating. And Steve Wilkes touched on it. And this is, again, another reason why I love Steve Wilkes. Another reason why I genuinely feel as though Steve Wilkes can be the answer for this football team. And not to go off on a rant, I'll just say this very, very quickly so I don't veer off, because I know how I get. But Dave Tepper, you might need to have a self-reflection and look yourself in the mirror, because initially when we brought him in, you said he had to do a tremendous job to even be considered. And I don't know what you consider personally a tremendous job, but if you look at this football team now, he's doing a tremendous job, because this football team that we're watching this week and last week is not the same football team that we saw the last week of Matt Rule's tenure as head coach for the Carolina Panthers. It's not. It's not. And I directly correlate that to the job that Steve Wilkes has done and is doing. I do. So off of that kind of rant or whatever may have you, what I fuck with the most is the fact that Steve Wilkes came in the press conference yesterday and was like, before they even got any questions out or whatever may have you, he was like, yeah, we just have to be more disciplined. And it's simply on me.
Yeah.
It's simply on me. And transparently, he's right. It is on you, because as a head coach, you have to make sure that your guys are disciplined and ready to play the football game the way that it should be played without, the penalties. And there were some costly penalties down the stretch of that football game. The one that everybody wants to highlight the most is the DJ Moore one. But I can go to, 10, 15 minutes before that penalty or before even being put in that position and showed you where we shot ourselves in the foot numerous times. And on top of that, there were a couple of calls that did not go our way when the Atlanta Falcons were on offense. Because on the Damiere Byrd touchdown, in my opinion, there was a false start on the left tackle that was not called. And then I want to say in the fourth quarter as well, maybe 2 or 3 times, I saw clear and obvious holdings on Brian Burns that just simply were not called.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 of them. And I say that confidently, because I know one for a fact, a nigga put him in a guillotine like they were in UFC. And then tried to throw his hands up like he didn't do anything. That's a clear indication of you being guilty of some shit.
Yeah, for sure.
right? Especially on the football field.
I mean, you throw your hands up. That means you supposed to get called for some shit.
You done fucked up for sure.
Oh.
So it was a couple of penalties that did not go our way offensively. And again, this is not making any excuses at all. We're just chatting.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the game because, that's what we do. But there were a couple of them things that did not go our way, and there were a couple of things that were extremely costly on our end. And we simply we have to clean it up.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, this is the difference. The thing about it is, I have 100% confidence that those issues will be addressed by our head coach.
Yeah.
I couldn't say that 4 or 5 weeks ago because I expected that shit from a Matt Rule-led football team. And I think that's the difference as well. I don't expect that kind of meltdown from a whole team perspective from a Steve Wilks-led football team. Now, I know my expectations are extremely high in that statement because, he hasn't done this too many times. But I don't expect that from a Steve Wilks-led football team. I simply do not. So we have to get those things ironed out.
Yeah. And I think, it's way too many penalties. And my thing is with penalties is they're either being coached or they're not being addressed. And so I think that Steve Wilks came in the press conference and letting everybody know that it's on him to get his football team together to where they're more disciplined, where they're not committing these stupid penalties. And I think that says a lot about him as a coach and as a person. And if you go back to the last few weeks, last 2-3 years, honestly, Matt Rule was not taking that kind of initiative.
No, he was
Matt
not.
Rule was not taking that kind of initiative, and he will always come in the press conference and I got to watch film. I mean, shit, Steve Wilks sat on the sideline and could tell you that without watching the film.
Yeah, for sure.
That there was too many penalties. We were very undisciplined throughout this game. And another thing I want to highlight about Steve Wilks is just the offense looks a lot better now. A lot better. They actually look like an NFL offense.
Give Ben McAdoo his credit, Terrence.
And see,
apologize, Terrence. Apologize.
And see,
apologize.
I can't really do that. And the reason I can't do that is because I feel like Steve Wilks has more of his hands in it than Ben McAdoo. Which, I would say Ben McAdoo probably does a fair amount of the play calling. But if Ben McAdoo was what you might make it seem like he is, then this would be something from the jump. This would be something that would have been happening from the jump. Because who do you think has more authority, Matt Rule or Steve Wilks? Who do you think Ben McAdoo would disrespect first, or would just blatantly say fuck it, I'm gonna do it my way?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely saying that in that role before Steve Wilks.
Yeah, sure. And so I would think that if it was solely on Ben McAdoo, then he would have been calling this type of game before Steve Wilks got the head coaching role. And so that's why I had to tip my hat to Steve Wilks, just because the offense looks like a competent offense. And you can say that, I do say that a lot of it was the quarterback play and a lot of it was the play calling as well. And so I think that now that Steve Wilks has been put in a position that he can put the guys that he wants on the field, he can put the guys that gives the team the best chance to win on the field, then the football team looks completely different. And with that being said, P.J. Walker. I mean, and P.J. Walker has been playing great. And I was just arguing with a fan yesterday because he claimed P.J. Walker cost us the game. And I was like, you completely must haven't been watching the games. At all. The team looks completely different since P.J. Walker has been at quarterback. The offense looks completely different since P.J. Walker has been at quarterback. And P.J. Walker has simply been playing the last 2 great football games. He had 1 interception, but, I mean, the linebacker just made a hell of a play,
I was about
honestly.
to say, I don't even put that shit on PJ. That shit was that's just you being an athlete.
Yeah, honestly.
That's just you being an athlete.
The linebacker made a hell of a play. And so, I mean, but other than that, PJ has been playing he has been playing great football thus far, keeping the ball out of harm's way. He hasn't really been overthrowing receivers. He's been getting his receivers involved. DJ Moore has 6 receptions for 150-something, I want to say. Terrace Marshall had about 6 receptions for like 89, something like that. Even the tight end Sullivan, he had a big catch in the game.
Yep,
and so,
middle.
yeah, so I mean, P.J. Walker has been getting his receivers involved. And so, in the run game has been complementing the offense as well, too. And so, I mean, the offense just looks completely different, completely revamped. And I got to give my credit to Steve Wilkes because it's like the best player we had on offense, he's no longer there, and the offense looks better than it looked when he was there. And so,
yeah,
I mean, it's complete credit to Steve Wilkes and P.J. Walker. And then, as you guys might have heard, Steve Wilkes went and named P.J. Walker the starter for this upcoming week against the Bengals as well. Even though Baker Mayfield is healthy, as we see him on the sideline with his uniform on. I think Sam Darnold might be healthy now.
He said today that he didn't want to elaborate on that whole situation. So I still don't feel as though Sam Darnold is ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sam Darnold might not be healthy, but I still think that given if he was healthy, it's no doubt in my mind that P.J. Walker would still be the starter of this football team.
Yep.
And so hats off to P.J. Walker and hats off to Steve Wilkes. God,
sure. What you got, Steve Smith on your mind? We need him, ain't it?
Yeah.
Nah. I agree, bro. I agree. And I mean, if I had to, knock PJ Walker for one thing, it would be the fact that it seems as though it takes him so long to get started.
Yeah.
And to get going and to get locked in. But the difference is, dude, if you look at Baker Mayfield in the games that he played this year, and I said last week that I don't want to even speak about Baker Mayfield on this podcast again, but for the sake of the conversation, we will. If you look at Baker Mayfield and you look at PJ Walker, it's very, very clear who's the better quarterback at this point in their career. Who has a better understanding and grasp on the offensive game plan this year?
For sure.
So right now, I know Steve Wilkes doesn't want to do it. I understand that. But if I'm Steve Wilkes, for me personally, with all due respect, Baker, I don't really care. Mr. Tepper, I don't really care. Mr. Fitter, I don't really care. P.J. Walker is my starting quarterback for the duration of this season. And we said that last week, and it was kind of like one of those things where we said it last week and it was damn near almost for shock purposes, but now we're saying it this week with more evidence and more supporting details. Because last week, yeah, it could have been just whatever may have you, the shock value or whatever. Last week could have been an overreaction, whatever. But the fact that he's done this 2 weeks in a row and he's had our team in position to win the football game 2 weeks in a row, and has made the very bare minimum amount of mistakes 2 weeks in a row and has protected the football 2 weeks in a row and hasn't created his own pressure 2 weeks in a row and has only been sacked one time 2 weeks in a row. I think that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Because though the Atlanta Falcons are ranked 32nd in the passing game, and though Tampa Bay was dealing with a lot of injuries in their secondary, and though A.J. Terrell was hurt yesterday, you still have to come out and execute the game plan and make the big-time throws when your number is called upon. And we've seen that the past 14 days time and time again with P.J. Walker.
Yep.
So at this point, it's not even a discussion anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even a discussion anymore. P.J. Walker should be the guy that we go with for the duration of this season because P.J. Walker gives us the best opportunity to win football games. He does. It's just that simple. I understand that you may be frustrated as a Baker fan. I understand that you may want to give Sam Darnold another shot. But listen, all of the time for that is out of the window. So all of that cute little pat around, maybe let's go here, let's try this, let's do that. Fuck that. Because the way this team is playing right now is really at a really, really high level.
Yep.
Though we lost again yesterday. It almost sounds like we won on this podcast.
Nah, for real.
It almost sounds like we won. But I think it's just the fact that, like, bro, that was the first game in a very, very long time that I was excited to watch, and that we were playing for something meaningful. Yeah. And, like, we damn near rose to the occasion. And not even damn near, we did rise to the occasion. With the exception of a couple of misplays here, a couple penalties there. Like, the Carolina Panthers came out and played a very, very good brand of football yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
They did. And again, that's not to take anything away from the Atlanta Falcons either, because they won the football game.
Yeah.
They made the plays that were necessary. And I've been saying for the past 4 weeks, the Atlanta Falcons are a very, very good football team. They're a very solid football team. And we saw that yesterday. We did. They punched us in the mouth, and we punched them in the mouth. That's exactly what I said last week. It was ultimately going to see who folded first. And unfortunately, it just so happened that we were the ones that folded first, unfortunately. Because, I mean, we just traded body blows the whole entire game.
Whole game.
We did.
Match for match, score for score.
Yeah.
It was a great game.
It was a great game, honestly. And that's why I said, like, as I went back and watched film today, like, it's not really much shit I can be mad at.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, we just have to, there's things that we have to fix. That's not to say that there's not, but it's not much that I can be mad at.
Yeah, because you play that brand of football against a lot of other teams, you win the football game.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And them other teams that you were referring to might not have the mental stability that the Atlanta Falcons have.
Yeah, honestly.
And they might not be as grimy and as dog-like as the Atlanta Falcons are. Because the Falcons have dogs and demons.
Nah, yeah, they really do.
The Falcons have dogs and demons. And you may not know their names, and you may not, they may not be household names, and they may not have that, that amount of the same amount of superstars as other teams, but they have dogs and demons. And they proved that yesterday for sure. But we got to couple our damn self.
Nah,
Thursday night football, when we in BOA and we in there all black, we come to stretch a nigga. So Atlanta, hats off to you. Round of applause. Y'all are sitting at the top of the division right now. But come week 9, y'all niggas better be ready. Because we do have dogs and demons. And should Jeremy Chin put that all black on and start feeling kind of different, I won't get too far ahead of myself.
For real.
For sure. But anybody else that you really want to tap on or touch on offensively? I think it's worth saying that we should bring up Terrace Marshall.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think Terrace Marshall, he played a great game yesterday. And I know me and JJ have been on him a lot.
Been on his ass.
JJ specifically, because for some reason he can't stand that nigga. He's like, that's one thing Matt Rule was right about. Terrace Marshall is some shit. So, hey, but Terrace Marshall, he played a great game. And I think I've been seeing progressions from him since the past 2 games. I think he caught last game, he dropped a pass, but then he caught a big pass that last game. Yep. And then he came back this game and caught a few big passes. And I think that Terrace Marshall can be a great deep threat receiver in the long run. The more experience, the more reps he gets. And I think Steve Wilkes and the offensive staff, they trust Terrace Marshall. Because on a lot of those deep passes, Terrace Marshall was the target. Yeah. In the red zone, they threw a jump ball to Terrace Marshall, I want to say twice.
Yep.
One of them, I think the defender just made a great play on the ball. The other one, I think he almost came down with it.
Both of them, the defender really made a great play on the football.
Yeah, honestly.
The one that you're talking about is when he hit the ground, he was still bobbling it, and it damn near landed right in his bread basket.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Terrace Marshall has he showed tremendous improvement over the past couple weeks. And so, I think the more that he continues to get involved, the more his confidence will develop, and the more that he can definitely be a true deep threat receiver in the long run.
Yeah.
So hats off to Terrace Marshall.
For sure. And Terrace Marshall, I mean, yesterday was the first time that I ever seen Terrace Marshall look like a big receiver.
Yeah.
Like, he looked big yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, and he was playing big for sure. Like, I will say that I apologize to Terrace Marshall based on the performance that he had yesterday, because Terrace Marshall looked different yesterday.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, he looked different, not in the sense of like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase different, but from a Terrace Marshall that I saw 4 weeks ago and a Terrace Marshall that I'm looking at today, I'm looking at him a tad bit different.
Yeah.
But I have to almost circle it all the way back to his head coach having confidence in him.
Yeah.
Honestly, a head coach that you want to play for and a head coach that has confidence in you, confidence enough to go to you 2 or 3 times on a jump ball in the red zone.
Yeah.
So that could be a direct reflection as well, because maybe Terrace Marshall is working a lot harder, at times that we're not able to see, that we're not privy enough to see. So maybe that's a direct reflection, but I will say Terrace Marshall, hell of a game yesterday.
Yeah,
hell of a game from Terrace Marshall yesterday. And as, like you said, as his confidence begins to grow, as he continues to make these big-time plays or whatever may have you, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem. I feel like, we may be just a year and a half away.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like I said, or like you said earlier, a lot of people don't really like P.J. Walker as a starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those things that we talked about last year. It's because P.J. isn't the sexy, he's not a sexy option.
Yeah.
He's, a guy that comes from the XFL, one of the guys that Matt Rule brought in. It's nothing really sexy about P.J. Walker, honestly. But the thing about it is he has shown me the past 2 weeks that he has what it takes to get the job done. And it's not like P.J. Walker is 34, 35 doing this on the back end of his career. P.J. Walker is still a young guy.
Yeah.
P.J. Walker is still a young guy, and he's showing me that, if you give him time and you give him opportunities to develop and to make these big-time plays, I don't see why P.J. Walker can't be the answer for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, you maintain that running back room, and that's another guy that we'll touch on real quick as well, Deontay Foreman. You maintain him running like baby Derrick Henry, and then you add that second punch with Chuba Hubbard as well.
Yeah. And
then we have Terrace Marshall playing, at a top wide receiver 2 level. It's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah.
And and Sullivan, he came out of nowhere for me, the tight end, number 84, because I honestly have no idea who the guy is. I'll be honest with you.
Me neither. I think I only seen him like 1 or 2 times before yesterday. So
I saw him in training camp. He kind of stood out to me in training camp, but it was nothing like, oh shit, like he might be the answer. It was not one of those situations by any means.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we have another tight end that's going to be able to help us compete and win football games at time. Mm-hmm. But Sullivan, I don't know who the hell he is, and I say that with all due respect, but if we get him playing at an elite level and we continue to get him involved in the offense, DJ Moore already is who he is.
Yep.
And Terrace Marshall keeps working hard. Couple that, all of those things with P.J. Walker and a phenomenal head coach and Steve Wilkes, you about damn near have a damn championship football team.
Yeah.
Not to get too far ahead of myself. But I mean, shit. I always have the feeling and the the kind of the mindset of like, why not us?
Yeah.
Like, who was Cooper Kupp and Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson and Sam Bradford. Or not Sam Bradford. What's the nigga's name?
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford. Why did I say Sam Bradford? Matthew Stafford. Like, who really were those guys until they became Super Bowl champions?
Yeah. That's a fact.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, and obviously some of those names may ring more bells than, a Terrace Marshall Jr. or Sullivan or, a Deontay Foreman. But why not us?
Yeah.
Why not us? Why can't Steve Wilkes be another version of a great coach like a Sean McVay or Andy Reid or something like that? Why not us?
Yep.
I mean, that's just how I see it. So it's just a couple of things that we have to work out, a couple of kinks in the armor that once we get them ironed out, things will look a lot different. And the way this football team is looking right now, it's an upward trajectory. It really is. Sure. So all of these games that we completely wrote this team off about after the Rams game, erase all of that shit. Erase all of that shit that we said, and let's look at it differently with the sense of optimism. honestly. Because in my opinion, we have a chance to compete with any football team in the NFL. We do. But whether it be Baltimore, whether it be Cincinnati next week, whether it be Buffalo later on in the season, whether it be that defense that Pittsburgh had, like, all of that is cute. But if we get healthy and we continue to do what we're doing offensively with our game plan and getting other guys involved that we haven't seen that much over the past year or two, we're able to compete with any team in the NFL. And that's because we have a lot of guys on this team that are A, dogs and demons, and we have a lot of guys that B, have bought into what Steve Wilks is selling.
Yep.
And so ultimately it stems from the top. It comes from the top. We knew the whole time that Matt Rule was a problem. It just took y'all's owner, Dave Tepper, to take, to see it a little bit differently. Or to swallow his pride and eat that contract.
Yep.
But it all comes from the top because this is what this team has the potential to be when they're fully bought in. This is what the team has potential to be. It's these kind of performances that that we saw yesterday that we can be able to see every single week going forward.
Yep.
Because like you said, it's going to be a couple of teams that don't have that same want to and same drive as the Atlanta Falcons that will fold when we punch them in the mouth a couple of times. When Deontay keep toting that bitch down their throat a couple of times. So, I mean, that's just a simple fact of the matter. Just to wrap up offense, I guess, Deontay Foreman, we'll spend a couple minutes on him because there's a bit of foreshadowing here and not really foreshadowing. Deontay Foreman is going to be my player of the game or my player of the week. So what did you think about his performance yesterday?
I mean, Deontay Foreman is legit. And I first started to take notice of him when Derrick Henry had got hurt, and it wasn't even because of what he's doing now. I think like a lot of people started comparing him because he's big as hell.
Yeah.
Like the nigga is big as fuck. So people was like, damn, they got a Derrick Henry 2.0. And then you see him run the ball a couple plays, and you like, oh, he toting that bitch.
For shit show.
So, and I don't think, well, I think we kind of talked a little bit about it when we first signed him. It was like, I mean, and this one C-Mac was still there. It was like, throw Deontay Foreman in. He's a pound for pound back. Like, it's going to take a couple guys to get him down. Like, he's going to tire out your defense. And then now that he's starting to get RB1 touches, it's like, I mean, Deontay Foreman, he's seeing the lanes good. He's making the cuts, putting his head down, and it's taking more than one guy to tackle him, and that tires out a defense quick. Sure. And then that opens it up a lot for the passing game. And so, I think Deontay Foreman has been playing great. Second week, over 100 yards. I mean, you can't ask much more than that from a running back. And 3 touchdowns. Although they was pretty short touchdown runs, but I mean, damn, you put him on the goal line, just say run through a motherfucking face. And,
for real, what you say? Run through a nigga face, man. For real, for shit show.
And that's what he did. And so, yeah, with that being said, yeah, Deontay Foreman is legit.
And not to, to kind of combat your point, so to speak, a little bit, and the fact that these short yardage touchdowns, may not hold the same weight as the 25 or 30-yard runs. There's a couple of them runs that Deontay had yesterday that I've seen Christian McCaffrey get his shit knocked loose on.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was the 2-point conversion after the second or third touchdown that he scored. That 2-point conversion, bro, he was hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
He got stopped short at first.
That shit didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's my player of the game. That's my player of the game. My player of the game is Deontay Foreman. And, I mean, just the conversation we've had right here will suffice in my supporting details. I believe 25 carries for 116. Let me get it right.
26, 116.
26 for 116 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Bro, listen, I don't want to be that guy. I do not want to be that guy because y'all know how I feel about Christian McCaffrey. I've been very vocal about it. I have. And Christian McCaffrey is balling at San Francisco. But I still maintain my position that it was time for us to split ways.
Yeah.
It was time for us to split ways because it became repetitive. Because now you're able to see what that offense looks like when it's opened up a little bit more. When everybody doesn't know that Christian McCaffrey is getting the football.
Yeah.
And again, that's no knock to Christian McCaffrey or no, slight to the talent that he is, because Christian McCaffrey is a demon. He is. But shit, if Deontay keep running it like that, and then you add Chuba in that mix, and PJ is dotting shit from 70 yards away, I ain't even gonna get into it, bro. But y'all,
it was a win-win for both sides, for sure.
Excuse me.
It was a win-win for us and San Francisco.
Why he had to make that face, bro? He made that shit 10 times worse, bro. I was gonna sneeze and keep going. That nigga had to make the face with it. Oh boy, but yeah, no, Deontay Foreman is my player of the game. So actually, just go ahead and give me your player of the game since we're here.
I'm torn between 3 players.
Okay.
Honestly.
Fuck it. It's our show.
Yeah. I mean, shit, yeah, fuck it. I got 3 players of the game. I got PJ Walker, 19 for 36, 317, a touchdown, an interception. PJ played a great game. Got a lot of his receivers involved. I don't want to sound too repetitive because I said that earlier, but I mean, for a quarterback to come in and just be able to put on a show like that, 300 yards, given the game did go into overtime, but I mean, he didn't throw shit in overtime.
Yeah, he didn't throw it in overtime, so that came in regulation.
Yeah,
for real.
So PJ Walker played a great game. So I got him. I got Deontay Foreman, as we just sat and spoke on him. Back-to-back games over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, you don't get no better than that. And then I have DJ Moore, 6 receptions, 152, a touchdown, given that one of those plays came from the 62-yarder, but damn, he almost he was 10 shy of 100 yards without that. Yeah. And so, I mean, DJ Moore played a great game. And then just the adversity that he had to bounce back from what kind of probably haunted him at the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, and then to respond in that way, to put your team in that position, I mean, that just tells you a lot about a player. So, yeah, I got those 3 as my players of the game.
For sure. For me personally, like I said, Deontay Foreman, I won't get into him anymore because we did just speak on him. And then my honorable mention, it would have to be C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
My honorable mention is definitely C.J. Henderson. I love what DJ did. I love what PJ did. So those guys, I commend you for having those 3 for sure. But what C.J. Henderson did cannot go, without being talked about once again.
Yeah.
Not being mentioned once again because, again, we've ragged on that guy. The fan base as a whole has been extremely tough on C.J. Henderson. We wanted to throw him by the wayside. The fan base as a whole wanted to throw him by the wayside, and he's done nothing but respond and get better.
I agree.
It's just that simple.
For sure.
You can say that, yeah, he gave up the touchdown on Demir Bird, but like Steve Wilkes talked about today in the presser, we had been getting beat, or they had been trying us deep all game.
Yeah.
They had been trying us deep all game, and when you play a coverage like that, you kind of sag off and you're defending over the top. You're going to get beat underneath. Now, the effort that he showed to make the tackle after the catch leaves a lot to be desired for sure. But you can say that for J.C. Horn.
Yep.
You can say that for Xavier Woods. And you can say that for
Dante
Jackson as well. So C.J. Henderson also gets an honorable mention from me because he played a hell of a game yesterday.
I agree.
He did.
For sure.
Best and worst thing you saw yesterday, and we'll try and kind of speed through the best and worst thing. But what was the best and worst thing that you saw from the team yesterday?
I think the best thing I saw was just the offense as a whole. I just like this team when the offense is clicking, and when we can at will move the ball, and we don't really have to worry about, can we even get the ball past the 50? but we getting the ball past the 50 and we going to punch that bitch in.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're in situations where we can actually exercise our red zone / goal line packages, and where I like to see that kind of offense from a team who I haven't seen that from in weeks 1, 2, and 3. And so it's just a big difference in the offense. And so I would say that was my best of the game. Worst is I just wish the defense would have played a little better. The offense, they gave us the points to win the football game. And like we said earlier, it was just a couple of plays that the defense didn't make that could have got us off the field, given they did have 2 takeaways in Dante Jackson and C.J. Henderson. But I mean, I just wish they would have played better on some plays, and those ultimately, I mean, I guess put us in a position to not win the game. But I still think it was a great game overall. I just wish the defense would have played better.
For sure. The worst thing I saw probably, I mean, inevitably for me, like personally, the worst thing that I saw was Eddie Pinheiro.
Yeah.
You know, I know you be weak because you know I'll be wanting to spaz.
Yeah.
And I got to restrain myself. The worst thing that I saw, like honestly, was Eddie Pinheiro and the 2 missed field goals. I mean, there's really just no excuse. Like, I gave y'all my whole rant and dissertation on how I felt about people ragging on DJ Moore or whatever have you. I just never want to see my kicker miss from any yardage short of 52. I really never want to see my kicker miss in a dome and on turf.
For sure.
With a perfect hold and a perfect snap. I never want to see that. That was the worst thing that I saw. The second worst thing that I saw, and really I almost want to make this my first, but I'll, for the sake of time, I'll leave it as my second. But the penalties that we had in the fourth quarter and in overtime, it just simply can't happen if you want to play and establish a winning brand of football. So those were the 2 worst things that I saw, Eddie Pinheiro and then the penalties from the team as a whole. The best thing that I saw was probably just to, cut it all down. Yes, the offense as a whole, because we haven't seen that. But the best thing that I saw was the pass from P.J. Walker to DJ Moore to force overtime.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the best thing that I saw yesterday. I mean, I was watching film today, and when I tell you I went back to the pass 6 times, no exaggeration. I went back consecutively, like watch the complete, like just to see the ball that PJ delivered and the catch that DJ made, like perfect spiral, 60-plus yards down the field. One of the best throws, like I said earlier, maybe even the best throw that I've ever seen in my life. That was by far the best thing that I saw this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a must-see play.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on, and we'll kind of wrap up here, but moving on to week 9, because, yes, we did lose. Unfortunately, that landed us at 2-6. The number 3 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, if things ended today, and back to the bottom of the NFC South. So it's kind of like, yeah, we played great. We didn't do what was necessary to win the football game yesterday. We did have a great game. Guys that we saw or wanted to see improve, we saw them improve, things of that nature. But now we have to move on.
Yep.
Now we have to move on. It would be great if today was Victory Monday and we could have came in here playing Sweet Caroline. It would have been great if, we were able to drop our nuts with our shades on and our shots and everything like that, sit in the top of the NFC South. But we're not, because we didn't do what was necessary to win yesterday. Though it may have been a couple of plays here and there, whatever may have you, we didn't do what was necessary. So now we're in this position going into Cincinnati and having to play the defending AFC champions.
Yep.
So it's going to be imperative, and we'll just, like I said, we'll kind of go through this relatively quick. It's going to be imperative that we have pressure on Joe Burrow consistently the whole game. That was something that I saw this past week in the Atlanta game that I didn't like was the amount of time that Marcus Mariota had in the pocket to just sit back and pat the ball. So it's going to be essential that we get after him. Don't give him a lot of time. We will not have to deal with Jamar Chase.
Thank God.
Thank God is right. Though I would have loved to see the matchup between him and J.C. Horn, because I know that J.C. Horn is a dog and a demon. But Jamar is a dog and a demon as well. So I would have loved to see that matchup.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, we will not have to see Jamar on the other end of, on the opposing sideline. But they still have Tyler Boyd. They still have T. Higgins.
Yep.
And they still have Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow. So this is a very, very high-power offense, very prolific offense. It's going to be essential for me that we get after Joe Burrow. And offensively, kind of going hand-in-hand with that statement, because this offense is so high-powered in the Cincinnati Bengals, offensively for the Panthers, we had to come out and we had to score points on the first couple of possessions to go ahead and establish the fact that we're here and we're ready to play. Mm-hmm. Because this game can get very, very far out of hand if we don't come out and put points on the board early. Because I think it took us a whole quarter of football to score our first points against Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. So even if you go down on some of these drives and just get 3 points, is better than no points.
Yeah.
Some points is better than no points, whether it be 2, whether it be 3, whether it be 6 or 7. Points are better than no points. So it's going to be essential offensively that we come out and we score points early and often on this Cincinnati Bengals defense. And we have to pressure Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
We do.
I agree. Like you said, basically going off what you said, we have to contain Joe Burrow. Even without Jamar Chase, they still have talented receivers in Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. We've seen those guys put up great numbers throughout the season. I think both of them has had a few good games this season.
Yeah.
A few great games at that. And they still have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is a very good running back. And so we have to contain him. But the thing is, I love our chances with our defense. The way that we've seen our defense play throughout the season, given just a few games, taken away last week, but in other games, the way that we've seen our defense playing, I like our chances against their offense. I think if our defense can come out and play the way that they played all season, then it'll be a very great game. And our offense just has to follow that up.
For sure.
Honestly. And so, yeah, I do like our chances against the Bengals. And I feel like it'll be a very physical game. I think it'll be a very good game to watch as well. But this is a must-win game for us this upcoming week.
Unfortunately, I have to agree.
Yeah, this is a must-win game. And I think that if we can go in there with that mindset, that this is a must-win game, come out, punch them in the mouth, and then just keep our foot on their necks, then I think we have a very good chance at winning this game, especially by the way that we've been playing over the past few weeks with Steve Wilks as a head coach, and just seeing the different dynamic that the team has been playing with over the past few weeks. I think that this is a very new and improved football team, and I don't think the Bengals would necessarily – this is not going to be an easy game for them, I would say.
Yeah, and they might try and come in and try to treat us like bitches.
Yeah, but if you come in that way, then it's simply going to end bad for you. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah,
because like you said, we not on that timing no more.
Yeah.
When we had a when we had a head coach, let me say this the PC way. When we had a head coach that seemed as though he was a pushover, and his team and his coaching staff looked at him that way, it was easy for you to come in and treat us like bitches.
For sure.
But that's not the type timing that we on no more. So the NFL needs to realize that, and it may not be, and we may not get it fully clicked and locked in this year, but when it does happen, it's going to be a long fucking day for everybody in the NFL. I still maintain that position. I do, simply put. And I would have to agree with you. It's gonna be a dog fight. It's going to be a must-win game. I don't believe that should we drop to 2-7, I do not believe that we have what it takes. And this is, again, with all due respect, y'all know how much I love my squad. I do not believe that we have what it takes to rattle off 9 or 10 wins consecutively.
Oh.
And ultimately, that's what it's going to take to win the NFC South should you go 2-7.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take. And then, it's going to be tough having to play that Atlanta Falcons team again, though, we'll be in BOA. So it may be a little bit better because you'll have home field advantage, but it's going to be very, very tough to turn around, have to play that Cincinnati Bengals team after being in a dogfight this week against the Atlanta Falcons, playing Cincinnati next week, and then turn around on a Thursday night and have to play, the Cincinnati Bengals, play the Atlanta Falcons again. It's going to be very tough. Yeah. And this shit will not be easy. So I agree with you. This is a must-win game for this football team if we want to have any shot at the playoffs.
For sure.
I do. Other than that, I think I'm good, bro. I don't really have anything else to say.
Nah, I think
it was a real good podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out CJ.
Hey, shout out CJ Henderson and Terrace Marshall.
Nah, for sure. Shout out Terrace Marshall, man. Big bro, what up, man? I'm sorry, bro. But I'm back on your ass. You keep fucking up. That's all I'm going to tell you. You know I got no problem with it at all. Coach McAdoo, what up, nigga?
Nah, I'm good on him.
You're such a hater, bro.
Steve Wilkes.
Nah, for sure. Big bro. Steve, what up? Hey, Dave Tepper, get your checkbook right, nigga. Because you're not getting Bieniemy. You're not getting bro from San Francisco. The answer is already in the locker room, nigga. Don't fuck this up. We'll talk to y'all next week. We out this bitch.
I'm the one that put this city on. No mistaking me. If one thing is for certain, I got 2 hoes in my ride. 3 girls in my wood. Shawty, I'm tryna get high. Niggas pocket watching, so I keep that 45. Keep this shit 1K, yeah, you know it's do or die. Yeah, brought the bros with me, so you know it's finna happen.